This is Jeff again here at 16998 Southwest Riken Park Circle here in Sherwood. Accidentally hit the stop video button rather than pause there when I went to go locate. You're going to get two videos on this one. Anyway, I located the camera head successfully. Line terminates out on Southwest Riken Park Circle. As you face the house from the road, the line pops out of the foundation just to the right of the doorway under the big window, then jaunts under the driveway to get out into the street into the main lateral. So by the time the line straightens out to run out into the road, it's running about 3.5 feet in from the left side edge of the driveway. That's as you face the house from the road, in case you're curious where the line's at. And the line here is down to just a slight trickle at this point. It'll be done draining off here in just a moment. In fact, that bathroom sink just inside the front entryway door is a slow drainer, so we might have tiny little bit of water trickling through here as we pull back in, but it's not enough to affect anything or view of anything. And that sink there may need to take a auger to it, clear a hairball out of it. Most likely what's causing that to slow drain. Anyway, if you're newer to home ownership here, this is a beautiful example of how to treat your sewer line. I scope brand new construction lines on a frequent basis that are not this clean. This is amazingly clean. Anyhow, the biggest thing that keeps your line clean and what results in buildup typically is cooking oil, fats in general going down your kitchen sink drain. This is a home that is I don't think has ever put a drop of bacon grease down the sink. It is remarkable how clean this thing is. That or they hydrojetted this right before the sale of the house. I'm not sure. But the way you do that is that the rule of thumb I tell most people is if you've got enough grease or oil on your pans that when you turn the pan sideways, or if you were to do that, when the pan's hot or warm anyway, if there's enough on there that it runs off or flows off the pan, it's at that point you want to do something about it. Let the pan cool down, wipe it out with a paper towel, scrape it off into a garbage can, and or pour the stuff into a jar when it's still hot. You just don't want it going down the line. Thin little coating of PAM spray is no big deal. Hot water and soap handles that fine. And if you know some amount of oil and grease is getting down the line, always use hot water, soap, and let your hot water run for about a full, at least 30 seconds to a minute after your last dish was washed. That helps to ensure that everything remains melted and emulsified until it gets out to the main, or at least a good distance from the house. So anyway, this joint right here, I'm mentioning on video, this thing is so tiny, I'm not even talking about it on my report. From a hyper technicality, you have a little bit of the lip there. That looks purposefully done to put a little bit of an angle on that pipe you couldn't create with an angled turn piece. And then that little piece of hair there in the flow line is caught on a little bit of excess pipe glue. It's very, very minor. In case you're wondering what that was, it's not roots, it's just some hair caught on a little chunk of excess pipe glue in the flow line. That's about the only thing that will ever hang up either. It's in 4-inch, big diameter, smooth plastic pipe. That's only going to snag up hair. That's about it. It's too small to do anything else. Alright, we're going to just about back in here. And this right here at the top of the pipe, what that looks like is the remnants of a past blockage. And for no other reason other than someone just flushed too much stuff down the toilet. That's what it looks like when you get a blockage that blocks temporarily and then breaks loose on its own naturally under head pressure building up behind it. That is it. In fact, I love to see this as it relates to grease buildup. So toilet paper blockages are your most common kind of blockages when often kids anyway, ball up toilet paper. You want to fold your toilet paper. Balled toilet paper blocks lines pretty easily. But because it is TP and disintegrates naturally, you often will get these things that will block and break loose without even realizing it happened. That's one of the biggest reasons you want to keep your line clean of grease buildup. Grease acts like glue. It slows the movement of everything down. It also causes stuff to get stuck once it stops. It gets adhered to the grease, and if you have something that's already going to block the sewer line or very close to it, when they block much more effectively. So this one, for instance here, probably broke loose after 3 to 5 feet or so of pipe filled up behind it, and then it busted loose there. If your pipe walls are all gunked up with grease, that same blockage can withstand significantly more head pressure building up behind it. The blockage that might break loose after 5 feet of pipe fills up behind it can now withstand 30 feet, for instance, and it's much more likely something kind of innocuous like that can turn into a sewer event. So that's the biggest reason you want to keep your lines clean. It makes the lines much more forgiving when things do happen. So Anyway, fabulous looking sewer line there. Great flow end to end. The only thing about this line I can nitpick is this goofy clean out cap. I would just recommend a new one be installed on that. And or other option would be to put an expanding wing nut cap in here. Just be aware, when you put those in, this is not cut flush and flat. Those generally require a flush, flat saw cut so they can seal properly. So you may still have to do a little bit of messing with this thing to cut it down so it's flat so it can seal properly, because it'll seal here, but right here you're going to have a space that's going to be open to the air. So dirt and stuff will still be able to get down into there. Anyway, as far as flow goes, line functions beautifully. There's nothing about that thing I could hardly nitpick. Great looking sewer line. And spotless clean to boot. You rarely get that on sewer lines these days, it seems like.